And when I pull into the address written on my hand, it's 48 degrees Fahrenheit and raining. In a meek attempt to keep my feet somewhat dry, I decide to wear my New Balance 1320s. Changing shoes, I get out of my car and I begin walking toward the sound of morning commotion. About 50 yards away through the trees, I can make out the shapes of camping tents. It's nearly pitch black, but my eyes haven't quite adjusted enough to see the outline of the dirt road I'm walking on. And then I trip. Apparently, my peepers aren't quite dialed in enough yet. Pausing for a moment on the ground and hoping that no one else was close enough to see this, I make sure that my pride was the only thing damaged in the fall. I'd better be more careful, I think to myself. The absolute last thing that I need right now is to hurt myself before I even begin this thing. The sounds of metal cups clanging merge with chatter as I walk through this open field. I could very well be stomping through somebody's front yard of their tent, but I am too zoned in to care. Not to mention, if they're still asleep at this point, I might be doing them a favor. Now, by the time I reach the main gathering area, the lighting is almost too bright. Doesn't seem to matter, though, because it looks like I won't be staying here very long. The other 300 people are making their way onto the field toward me, and it becomes clear that I am the oddball. I'm suddenly surrounded by dozens of people dressed in shorts and t-shirts, tightening their shoes and fidgeting with their watches. I look down to compare my equipment and notice that the grass is soaking wet. I am sure it's only a matter of time before the dampness makes its way to my feet and I really start hating life. And through the mass of strangers, I peer back in the direction of my car. I know it's not too late. I could just slip through silently and drive home. I will never see these people again. None of them even know my name. 30 minutes ago, I was sitting in my car in the parking lot of the Bedford Hotel. I remember staring at the clock, 3:58 a.m., and knowing that if I went directly home, I could be there in about 3.5 hours. My wife wouldn't even be awake yet, and I could climb into my warm, dry bed. Instead, I picked up my phone, I activated the video camera, and I started talking. You can't just give up because it's the easy thing to do, or because things are not going as well as you'd hoped they'd go. If you harp on all the negative things, that's what's going to get you, the negativity. The doubts will creep in one by one in your head, and that is the only voice that you will hear for a very long time sometimes. You got to put that voice out. Listen to it, but don't follow it. It's going to be a long day for me, I know that, but this is what I set out to do. So, one foot in front of the other. Whether that's racing up a mountain or just trying to get out of the hotel room without saying, I'm going home. Now suddenly I am snatched out of my dreamlike state as a voice booms over a bullhorn. It's time, folks. We've stalled long enough. Are you ready? 328 people crowded onto the rainy field in the dark. The bullhorn squeals again. You are all about to experience nearly 35 miles of this very difficult and slow course. We are currently at 1,300 feet altitude, the highest point at 4,005 feet, and the lowest point at 1,100 will take you from spring to late winter to spring to late winter and finally back to spring at the finish line. You have 10 hours. And the crowd cheers. As the noise begins to diminish, several people are singing the Star-Spangled Banner. And then more. And before you know it, everybody's singing it. Except for me. And for no other reason that I am wallowing in this moment. I am wondering what in the actual hell I am doing here. I'm surrounded by 327 people that have trained for this. They all wear shirts of past mountain runs and marathons, 50-milers, 100-milers. I, on the other hand, am losing confidence quickly. I realize how much more I should have run. I remember how many people told me not to do this. I decided that I needed a boost. I needed to shove my life back into gear. I had been gaining weight by the minute, becoming lazier as the days went on, and on an impulse, I started just casually running again, reaching about 5 miles for my long runs. And then exactly 1 month ago, 30 days, I signed up for this 34-plus mile foot race in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. I needed to remind myself that I was not going to let my life slip away from me. I was going to call the shots, and no matter what I faced, it was my decision and no one else's. And that is why I'm here. I know this is an awful idea. I know it's going to be a disaster, but I need to see what I am made of again, which I'm fairly certain is cookies and cake. As the singing ends and the hoots and hollers die down, I make my way to the back of the group. I need to make sure that I am not being pushed by some crowd of people way above my ability to conserve as much energy as I can. I really don't care how long it takes me to finish. I just want to reach the end. Now, we all count down from 10, and that's it. We're off. The adventure has begun, and I still cannot believe that I am out here. Nevertheless, foolish or courageous, here I am. Now, running behind a sea of headlamps flashing in every direction, I seem to be the only person with a camelback on, a backpack with a built-in 50-ounce water bladder. I must be carrying 3 times the water and gear as everybody else. I'm not quite sure what to do, though, because I can't guarantee that all these aid stations are going to have the foods that'll be easy on my stomach. All in all, I'd say it's about 10 pounds on my back. It's not much, but I suppose it could add up over the next 8 to 10 hours of climbing and running. Ugh. Now, the first mile is actually pretty enjoyable. There is a slight incline in elevation, but it's hardly noticeable against this very ultra-fresh air. It's strange how the early morning has its own scent. The rain has slowed to a slight drizzle, but the air has a bitter chill to it. Now, running, the body heats up, but as soon as that sweat hits the body, you can get really cold really quickly. And this thought reminds me to sip on some water and stay hydrated. Now, the road becomes extremely steep for the next 1.5 miles as I reach the first aid station. So far, I've climbed about 1,400 feet, and I already need to replenish my water. So as I remove my pack and begin filling it up, the volunteer stands there and says, "I look great." But I can feel her judgmental stare say otherwise. Or so I thought. Leaving the area, I transition to a much steeper gravel road, which takes me up past 3,000 feet. This altitude surely won't give me altitude sickness, but I swear I can feel a difference in my breathing. I try to enjoy the views, but I notice that my pace is slowing more than I would like. I need to set my pride in my backpack and just focus on each step. Now, the scenery is incredible. It literally feels like I'm running through a painting. After an hour of running, I find myself on a forest road which has long been abandoned. I remember reading stories about people having their quads absolutely destroyed on these downhills, so I try to take it easy. Now, it doesn't last long, though. It's just too easy to sail down and enjoy the ride. I'm cruising pretty well through some very thick fog at this point, and I can only see about 40 yards ahead of me. If I weren't so petrified of what's to come later on, I might actually enjoy this. After a good couple hours of trotting along, I reach the Sunset Fields aid station at mile 13. It's like a party. Volunteers manning food tables joke with runners who seem to be in great spirits. What is wrong with these people? Don't they realize they just ran 16 damn miles and still have to run at least 21 more? What a bunch of lunatics. Not me, though. I don't do this all the time. I'm just passing through, a visitor in their land of power gels and spandex. Clearly, it's not as maniacal to only allow a month to train for something like this, right? The energy of the aid station is a bit exuberating, but I'm afraid of it. At any moment, it could become too comfortable, and before you know it, I'm sitting on a picnic table eating pie. I really can't afford that right now. I'd better play it safe. So, I fill my pack with cakes and cookies. And as I begin jogging back down the trail, there are so many cake wrappers rubbing together in my bag that it sounds like I'm running in a diaper. Free cake. Totally worth it. Now, not 5 minutes pass, and it seems I've reached the Appalachian Trail. It's very rocky and technical, which means I need a lot of agility and concentration for every single step. Hopping from rock to root, I'm starting to think that this is a dried up stream. Now, one wrong step is going to ruin this race for me, so I slow down. Admittedly, I can already feel my quads beginning to deteriorate. Every step feels like someone is hitting my thighs with a bat. After about 3 miles or so of downhill, my legs begin to seize up on me. And even though I've been averaging about 45 ounces of water and salt pills and power gels every hour, I'm still getting cramps. Am I dehydrated? If so, why am I still peeing clear every half hour? I just don't get it. Now, fighting cramps at every step is really nerve-wracking. It's frustrating. Finally deciding to keep my momentum and risk no more stops, I make the decision to just pee on the run. Now, most runners apparently like to whip it out and run sideways while spraying to the east. But I'm soaked already from top to bottom with sweat, dirt, and grime, so what's a little bit of urine? Builds character. Mile 18. I reach the next station. Walking towards the table, a volunteer approaches me. Her face shows a little bit of concern. Without saying anything, she hands me 600 milligrams of Motrin and tells me to keep moving. She seems adamant about forcing me through the station, and I begin to wonder why. Needless to say, I manage to slide a Pop-Tart from the table as I pass. Now, no longer does the air smell fresh. This is miserable. Everything smells like pee. And I can't figure out why. As I limp along, calves cramped, too tight to function, I admit it. I've wanted to quit ever since I started. What the hell am I doing out here? What made me think that I could do this? I still have another 16 miles to go, and I have literally nothing left. I don't even want to think about the dark side of the mountain that I know is coming. For hours, I trudge through streams and mud. I'm dragging my pained self from station to station. At this point, my legs feel like they're each 200 pounds, and lifting them is just initiating full body cramps. Everything from my toes to my fingertips are beginning to seize up, and I think it's time to call it quits. I literally crawl into the entrance of the aid station. 29 miles I have traveled. Now, people are milling about, snacking on pastries and laughing about silly things that have taken place, and I drag myself to a chair and climb into it. It feels pretty good to sit. I can feel all my muscles starting to tighten, and I wince from the pain. Everything hurts. On the bright side, I'm not running right now, so I will enjoy the moment for what it's worth. And for a brief period, time seems to stop. I don't hear any voices, can't smell any pee. Maybe this has all been a bad dream. How you doing, Chief? You look good, you look strong. A young man wearing a blue shirt comes up to me. He looks like he's in high school, maybe a cross-country runner. He's fit. He's dressed in running attire, clearly not participating today. Must be one of the volunteers. Strong? I joke. Can you see me? Do you see what I look like? And he laughs. Here, take this. And he hands me a giant donut smothered in salt. Are you serious? That's blasphemy on so many levels. Who's going to eat that? I'm surprised that I can joke while I'm in this much pain. You are, and it's going to make you feel better. I take the donut and I begin to eat it, and it's nauseating. I pause, realizing my journey is finally over. My mouth begins to form the words. All I need to say is, you know what? I'm done. Number 297, I'm dropping out. And then I can get into that pickup truck over there, and they will drive me to my car. And in 4 hours, I can be done. I can be home. Don't do it, the young man says to me. He sees right through me. Now, I stare at him for a moment, confused as to how he could know that. So many emotions run in at once. I'm irritated that he would take this chance of relief away from me. I'm embarrassed that a teenager is seeing me, a grown-ass Marine, in such a pathetic state. And the cherry on top, I'm about to puke. Now, this kid doesn't know me. He doesn't know where I've come from or what I've been up against. He doesn't know that I didn't even really train for this. But I still made it 20 damn miles. Now, before I can open my mouth to tell him all that information, he beats me to the punch. Look, it's as simple as this. You quit now, and you're going to regret it as soon as you get into that truck. And then what happens tomorrow? You face something else, and guess what? You quit again. You have a chance right now to change everything from this point forward. Damn, you're pretty smart for a teenager. I don't really think I can argue with that. It takes everything that I have to stand. Grunting, I managed to hobble to the start of the trail. And like slow motion in a movie, I turn back to make eye contact with him, and I give him a slow thumbs up. And he returns it. You're almost done, he tells me. There's only 3.5 miles until the next aid station. And then it's 2 miles to the finish. You just got to push through this last big area. The dark side. And that phrase echoes in my head. As soon as I realize the kid can't see me anymore, I fall to the ground, and my face is buried in the dirt. The dark side. I know what that means. All the race reports that I read mentioned this part specifically. It is a 2,100-foot climb over 3 miles. There are literally stairs built onto the trail. And after 29 miles, with nothing left to give, I'm climbing. This is my lowest point yet. Every time I move, I seize up. When I pee, I'm looking for blood, just in case. That's how bad I feel right now. I cannot fathom going any further, let alone another 5 miles. Now, yeah, it's true. You think to yourself, well, I've already gone 29 miles. What's another 5? But it's not that simple. All I want to do right now is just stop moving. I want to go home. I want to get into a hot bath, and I want to relax. I don't want to be here on all fours, staring at the ground, wondering how the hell I'm supposed to do this. I just want it to stop. After over an hour and a half of dragging myself, I reach the top. I'm at about 3,600 feet again and feeling every bit of it. I try stretching, but I can't. I try sitting, but I can't. My body won't let me do anything but either stand still or move forward. And isn't that ironic? I hear someone say that the rest is mostly downhill to the finish line. There's just one more aid station a couple miles away. Knowing that, I keep moving. There's a tiny climb to a trailhead, and then it literally becomes very steep downhill. The downhill that your mom warned you about. Even so, I can barely run anymore. This ridiculous looking shuffle that I've acquired to help minimize my legs cramping up cannot be any faster than actually walking. But I just want this to be over with as soon as possible. Trudging along, broken and ashamed at how pathetic I must look, I see it, the finish line. It's a very surreal moment, and as much misery as I've experienced, the pain, the doubts, I made it. An hour ago, I was on all fours in the dirt, convincing myself that it was over. I hobble underneath the oversized banner as the clock reads 093400. It had taken me 9 hours and 34 minutes to reach that finish line. Now, any marathoner or ultra runner will tell you that that is a ridiculously long time for 34 miles, but that means nothing to me. My journey wasn't about breaking records or about running this far. It was about the adventure. It was about determination. I needed to see that I could be faced with a challenge and overcome those odds, even if I had set those odds myself against my own favor. Now, my wife tells me that I should just train properly and races wouldn't be like this, and I know she's right. But this, for me, was about proving to myself that I can do something big. I can look fear and frustration in the face and stand strong. For several hours, I heard a voice telling me to quit. It was tempting. It was the easy way out. And knowing that this whole passage was about the testament of true character, I needed to see where I stood. After all, I try to encourage people daily to be strong, confident, and never give up. How could I not follow that same advice? This was my moment of truth.
So it's 3:58 a.m. on Saturday, today's race day. There are a lot of lows. You can't just give up because it's the easy thing to do or because things are not going as well as you had hoped they'd go. If you harp on all the negative things, that's what's going to get you, the negativity. The doubts will creep in one by one in your head, and that is the only voice you will hear for a very long time sometimes. You got to put that voice out. Listen to it, but don't follow it. It's going to be a long day, I know that. But this is what I set up to do. So, one foot in front of the other. Whether that's racing up a mountain or just trying to get out of the hotel room without saying, I'm going home.